Trinity, thanks so much for joining us on the Sales and Sports podcast. So excited to have you on the Entr Tech Sales and Sports podcast, being one of our alumni from last year. You're on the July cohort in 2022. So kicking off as we normally do with most of our guests, would love to know a little bit about yourself and how you transitioned from traditional education, university, to where you are now within the tech space as well.
Well, yeah, thank you so much, number one, for having me on. It's an honor. It's actually around a year since I was in the June-July cohort, so it's crazy that we're doing this at this time. So I actually started off at uni. I was studying in Essex, biomedical science. So basically what happened was I did a year in industry, which is where you kind of like go out and you're a biomedical scientist, like a trainee. You work for a year, like voluntarily, and then you come back and do a final year of uni. So after going out and doing my year in industry, I was feeling pretty deflated about the role. I just wasn't really enjoying the lab kind of environment. I think also with it being COVID, that didn't help, but it was just quite lonely and it wasn't something that I could envision myself doing forever. So after that, I'd obviously come back to, my final year, and I was just feeling quite deflated and thinking, like, how do I turn kind of what I've studied into a role that I'm actually excited about and that I want to do? And as if literally by luck, Johnny, who was from the Entr Tech Academy, he came and was doing a talk at my uni and was really talking about the kind of transferable skills and how anyone can transition to tech into these SDR roles. And it really just captivated me. And I thought, let me just try, let me just apply. Who knows what's going to happen? And I did. Then luckily for me, I was accepted on, loved it, learned so much. And I guess here we are a year later in my role.
Unreal. And I guess it is a testament to how flexible the SDR role is, right? So you don't have to have a certain university degree to come in. I think a lot of people traditionally think of tech that you have to be a coder or some sort of tech wizard or have some sort of background in code to get into tech. But there's this whole side of the commercial aspect of tech sales, account management, which is so vital to each organization. But it shows that you can come out of university with a degree in biomedical science and then transition in. So that's really powerful. Just taking a step back, did you know at all, like during your university studies, that you were going to get into tech, or was it just by chance? And had you had discussions with yourself or your family in getting into the, I guess, medical industry? What was your I guess, thinking about work from a university?
No, definitely. So I was, like you said, the kind of people before I was thinking, I feel like tech was kind of a buzzword at the time. So we're all hearing about all these great advancements in tech and these big tech companies. But again, I just thought, oh, like you must have done computer science or you used to code. And I just didn't think I had the kind of brain for that. Like that just obviously wasn't what I'd done. I didn't want to go away and learn a whole new career. I've just done 4 years at uni. I was like, oh, I don't know how to get into this. So which is why I'm so glad that Johnny came and kind of explained that like there's so many different sides of the tech role. Like it's not just the kind of engineer. They need the whole like sales aspect. They need the whole HR. They need everything around them to be able to do what they do. And I think that was really promising for me. And to kind of find like there's so many different spaces where everybody can fit in. Like you've said, I came from a medical background. I do nothing to do with medicine now. And I'm still really thrilled at my role and doing really well in it.
Awesome. And I guess worked out quite well how you segued from Entr Tech into a medtech business. So tell us about that. And obviously it helped having some medical background, but how was your first SDR role? How did you find the first couple of weeks, couple of months? And yeah, would love to just a bit of a recap on that and any advice you give to other SDRs or people breaking in or starting their careers.
Yeah, so I was super grateful for the Entr Tech Academy because they like obviously pay you up with kind of job interviews afterwards. So when I saw that cardiomatics had come up, I was so excited. The guys were so excited for me, and they like prepared you really well. So I felt confident going into the role. So I knew that like when I had my interview, they really liked me, which was obviously just amazing. Like I made a great impression with all the knowledge that I'd learned from the academy. So that was just brilliant. But I think they had a few reservations as it was my first role, and really they were looking for somebody that was a bit more cemented in. But thanks to the guys, I was able to prove myself and land the role. And then within my first month, I think I was hitting my sales figures, just doing great, really. It was a bit different from what I'd expected. I think when you kind of think of sales, you think of like, oh, just minding the phones, like dial out, just calling all the time. But it was quite surprising that you have kind of a lot of freeness, a lot of control in what you do with your own time. So for example, I would like do my calls in the morning, then I'm doing my own like marketing outreach, then I'm doing my own emailing campaigns. It was really good in that aspect. So a little bit about Cardiomatics. They were a medtech company. They were really small, but they were based in Poland. So I was fully remote, which was amazing. And they were only an hour ahead of time. So it was very much like linear in what we were doing together.
Love
We
it.
had like all the different groups that are based everywhere, and we would kind of like coordinate with like the marketing, the engineers, and that kind of thing. So our main goal at that company was basically to raise awareness for the brand in the UK and to kind of get some leading like surgeons and doctors on board with it. So that was mainly what I did, like attending shows, reach out to people via email, like going into local like hospitals and that kind of thing. And I really enjoyed it actually. It was something that I think really kickstarted my career in tech.
So good, so good. And was there the opportunity to travel? Did you get out to Poland for the onboarding or during your first 6 months?
Yeah, no, I actually did. They flew me out to Poland, which was amazing. Like everything just included. I even got my own little company card, which I could just like spend here and there. So that was cool. The
So
office was just amazing. Like it was insane. It was beautiful. The CEO took us on like a really nice fancy dinner, like in the Polish town. So we got to like explore a little bit around the area. We did like some team building exercise. Like we went for drinks, went to bowling. It was really fun. Like I loved it.
unreal. Like this is why we do these podcasts, to like share those stories, because I remember when I was even at uni, I thought it was unheard of that like a year into your career, let alone a career in tech, you could have all these opportunities to travel and see the world, meet new people. And it's definitely like the perks, right, of the job.
Definitely. I think travel is something that was always super important to me. I've
Yeah.
always like loved to travel, but when you think of like a job and you think of travel, they don't normally go hand in hand. So I was thinking like I'm gonna have to kind of put my dreams on hold for a bit while I work. But luckily with this company, I got the chance to do both. So it was amazing for me.
Yeah, no, love it. And was any of it daunting, I guess, going to like shows? Did you have like a good support system in place? So number one, was it daunting? And then the other one would be working remote, right? You said you loved it. Obviously it can come with challenges. Again, so much flexibility. So what was it like onboarding in a remote environment? Because I know you're very much a people person. So did you have
Yeah.
ways where you could still get that human interaction, be it with friends, family, or going out for lunch, or connecting with colleagues? How did you find the whole remote setup, especially as your first job in tech sales?
I think it was definitely a big change. It was definitely very different from what I was used to, like going into the lab day in, day out. I think it helped that I was very organized. So I'm a kind of person where I plan my days anyway. So it was very lucky for me that I would just wake up, kind of plan what I'm doing, get like all of the calls out of the day in the morning. And because you're like in complete control of your timetable, you can make it work around you. So if I wanted to, I don't know, go out and have lunch with my family or with my parents, I can. I've got that time. I can just come back and do my emails later, or I can make sure I've got these things out of the way so that I can do whatever I want in the evening and then get back to it later on. So I think it was really good. I think challenging wise would just be being able to organize your time. Like
Yeah.
luckily for me, I'm very organized, but if you're not someone that's organized, I think it might take a bit of time to get used to, definitely. But I think with Cardiomatics, they were really supportive. Like my manager would call me every day just to see how I'm doing and just see how I'm getting on. So it was very much being in constant communication. And even though we weren't seeing each other physically, we're always on like calls, we're always on video calls. So it felt very much like a great working relationship.
Love it. No, thanks for the insight. And was any of it, I guess, daunting? Or I guess sales isn't easy, right?
Yeah.
If it was easy, everyone, there's obviously challenges that come with the day to day. So what challenges, if any, did you face, and like how did you overcome them?
I think going into the sales role itself was really daunting. I think especially because I didn't come from a kind of tech background. I didn't kind of come from like a specific sales background in B2B. It felt like I'm underqualified for this role. Even though I know like I've done this cohort, I know that I've got the information, you kind of feel like, oh, well, everybody else applying might have done this at uni. They might have put all of this time and effort into it. So I would definitely say that confidence is one of the main things in sales that's going to get you through. Even if you don't have it, I would just say fake it until you make it, because no one's going to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you kind of have to fake past the kind of doubts that you might feel and just know that like whatever you do and what you bring to the table will show. So like your work really will speak for itself in terms of whether you're hitting those numbers. etc. I think it does get a bit daunting as well when you're meeting new people that you haven't spoken to before, and like you're trying out these kind of new methods which you haven't tried before, the company haven't tried before. But as I said, I think if you kind of trust in yourself and have confidence in your own ability, everything should work out for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the perks, right, as well, is the work you put in, you get out. So a lot of it is you're also having a impact on a startup. If you're in a smaller team, that's you're seeing the effect daily on the growth of the business, which is really cool as well. So I think from my standpoint, when I was working as an SDR, it was definitely seeing the fruits of your labor, the work you're putting in, having results, number one, on the bottom line growth of the business, but also in your commissions as well, which is super important. So yeah, no, it sounds like Cardiomatics was a great success. And tell us about your role at the moment at Ignis. So when we caught up, you had a pretty wild story that you had to step in and close like over a 6-figure deal, which
Yeah.
pretty unheard of. What are you, like 12 months into the industry? So that sounds super exciting and sounds like you're absolutely smashing it. So what's the change up been to your new role at Ignis? And are you in the office full time, hybrid? Is it changed from being fully remote? And yeah, tell me about that story as well, because I want to hear it.
Yeah, definitely. So I definitely think that Cardiomatics was very rewarding. Like I loved working there. And as you said, when you're seeing the kind of efforts that you're putting in make a real difference on the business, it's so rewarding. Unfortunately, I was made redundant in that role just because they had to close the UK side of the businesses. They just weren't making enough profit at that time. So I remember I was in a complete scramble. I had like Thailand that was booked for like 2 months prior. I hadn't even saved any money yet. I was like, what am I going to do? But the great thing about SDR roles is they're literally everywhere. Like all of these kind of companies need SDRs, need people with experience. And so finding a new role, luckily, wasn't a struggle. I was able to find a new role that actually has better perks with the same salary, a better commission plan. And I think 2 weeks when I lost my job, which was just insane.
Yeah.
So the transition to Ignis was just, honestly, I love Ignis at the moment. Like they're completely amazing. Like we're a very small team. There's only 18 of us. We're like a family. We all really work together. Everything is great. So the deal that I just closed was my first actual deal ever at this company. So I was really excited about that. And the way it kind of came about was my manager. So we'd been kind of working together on a lot of deals at the moment. And she was just like starting to let me kind of spread my own wings and like lead my own deals. So this was one of the first deals I led by myself, but they were quite a tricky customer. So they'd asked to like come in, they wanted to meet the MD, they wanted to see all the managing directors, they wanted to see the management side. To which point I thought, okay, I'm kind of not involved here. I'll let my manager deal with this. So on the day where they're supposed to be coming into office, she was unfortunately off sick. And now it's like, gosh, she's the one that was supposed to be leading the meeting. Like she's got all the answers to these questions. One of our engineers wasn't here as well. Like now it's all on me. What am I going to do? Am I prepared for this? So it was in my head, I was really stressed. But of course, you kind of have to just collect yourself. They were coming in, I think, 11. I was in office at like 9 and was like, right, let me just get this under control. So I led a meeting with all the MDs, kind of brought them up to speed on what was happening, planned out the way the meeting would go. And then it went really well. Like they came in, they were really relaxed. Like they loved the kind of talking points. It was more like a very conversational meeting. They had a great time. And we delivered our proposal to them. And the same day they signed for the 6-figure deal. So that was just insane. It was insane.
That's so good. I love it how as well you sort of jumped into that situation and took it on with 2 hands, right? It would have been so easy just to be like, oh, I'm not into it as well. Or,
yeah, that's not my job.
Or it could have been easy to say, I'm not up to it, or do I need someone else to step in? But hats off to you for stepping up, and what an experience, right, to have. And yeah, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall to see that. And
it was crazy.
You must be super proud as well for yourself, and I guess the team must be over the moon with the work you're doing if that closed. What did it feel like then when you heard they signed on the same day? Were you thinking they were going to sign there and then, or was it like a bit of a surprise?
So luckily for me, my team is so supportive, and I think that support is also what made me feel like I was able to do the meeting. They were very much like, if anything that you can't do, like just let us know, like we can help you, but we really think that you've got this, we think that you're really capable, which I think really helped. And after the meeting, they were like, you did so well, we know they're going to sign. I was like, I'm not going to jinx it. Like, I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to chill out with it. They were like, no, we know they're going to sign. And then when they signed, everybody was just over the moon. We've got like a little wins chat in Slack. So we all like message our wins in there. Everyone like congratulates each other. They were like, oh, we'll take you out for a drink. It was amazing. It felt
about transitioning from roles, right? Because you've done the SDR role, you've got so much experience now. To those that are listening, once you're in the industry and you've proven you can do well in a company or in the role, you know, the world's your oyster in terms of, you know, going to be a big prospect at other firms. You know, they're constantly hiring, constantly looking for skilled people that can do the job. So once you gain these skills and gain that experience, you know what, you know, the world's your oyster and you can move up into, you know, it sounds like better companies, have better perks, and also there's the opportunity to progress even further. So with yourself, Trinity, is there like a plan for you in terms of career progression? It sounds like if you're already contributing to deals to potentially close them on a consistent basis, move up to a kind of executive sales director role. What's your, I guess, aspirations and setups, if you don't mind me asking? Like
no, of course. So I think even with the amount of kind of knowledge and experience that I've got in terms of months and years, it's not that much. Like when I was at when I was at Cardiomatics, that was only 6 months. I'm only in my 2nd month now at the role. And I feel like in such a short time, I've already jumped in leaps and bounds. So when I was working as an SDR at Cardiomatics, my main role was to kind of like bring in the clients, outreach, like marketing campaigns, emailing campaigns, that kind of thing. Where I would say in this role, it's kind of a step higher and I'm more doing what my previous manager was doing. So typically now I'm more like spearheading the meetings, getting like the contracts signed, doing like the kind of deals and that kind of thing. So already I can just see how I'm going to progress so easily within the company, within the role. It's really exciting. Typically in the next 6 months, I'm hoping that I can secure a lot more deals and then kind of have my own team below me.
Nice.
I think what's great about this is there's so many different avenues to go into as well. Like currently I'm really loving the SDR role, but I've also been thinking, but like, how would I perhaps find head of sales? How would I find maybe like revenue operations? All of these kinds of things. The fluidity between like so many different roles in this role is what's really exciting. And I think it also means that you have to plan too far ahead. There's always something that's going to be out there. Like you said, so many companies are hiring these kinds of roles at the moment. Like I get so many messages each day on LinkedIn, like, can you come and join our team? We're offering you this, we're offering you that. So I think my plan at the moment is just to continue what I'm doing. I think get more experience behind my belt and rack up a lot more deals and contracts signed.
Nice, great. It sounds like you're doing super well and you're in a great environment, which are, you know, helping you, supporting you grow and giving that learning and development and opportunities, right? That's the important thing, that opportunity to show you can actually step up and do what you're good at.
Definitely. I think really that's what it's all about. Like as much as we can talk about the different roles, really it's once you're in the role, it's about trying whatever you want to try and like doing the best that you can do.
Great. And advice, like what advice would you give someone who's looking to break into tech sales, apart from joining Entr Tech? But once you're in the role, like what key skills, you know, can they leverage, and what advice, if you had 2 bits of advice for people, what would it be?
I think in terms of advice, I would definitely say number 1, join the Entr Tech Academy. They will just fill you with so much confidence and with so much knowledge that you will feel like you can take on kind of any role. That I think was really definitely a turning point in my career and a huge stepping stone that I didn't know that I needed at the time. I think when you actually get into the role, my advice would really just be have confidence in yourself. I think it's very easy to kind of copy what the predecessor of you was doing or take on a lot of advice from like your colleagues and kind of do what they would suggest. I think when you have ideas, and even if they're different, just try them, because that's why they've hired you. They've hired you to bring a new perspective, a new outlook into the company. So just make sure that you're being very true to yourself and that your work is reflecting you as a person.
Yeah, no, love that.
I'd also say I think it's really important to kind of stay up to date with the industry knowledge. Like I think it's very easy for us to get into a role, we get a little bit comfortable and we forget that like things are constantly changing in the environment around us in the markets. So I'd say definitely staying up to date with that is super important. Like I'm constantly checking like the news and LinkedIn to kind of learn everything that I can, absorb as much information as possible so that I'm more well versed in my role. Because you do get those tricky clients that will try and quiz you, they'll try and catch you out just because they want to feel that they're being confident in who they're choosing to support their project.
course, they're like screening you and qualifying that you actually know your stuff. Just about that point, less on the industry specific stuff, but more about sales and outreach. Have you tried Chat GPT or like as part of your outreach yet, or not?
I actually haven't yet. I
Yeah.
haven't. Quite a few people in the office are using Chat GPT at the moment. I think
Yeah.
I'm just slow to using it, but I love like writing my own emails and drafting all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of flair and personal touch is why I love the role. And I think
Definitely.
that's also what kind of clients do look for and what they trust.
Yeah. And then last one, in terms of the day-to-day SDR stuff, just for the listeners who might be considering the SDR role, what would you say a typical day looks like? And because a lot of the role is very much research based, right? Make sure you're identifying the right people, again, checking news, make sure they're the right accounts. What would your typical day look like in terms of your role?
So day to day, again, I would kind of say the SDR role varies at different companies.
Yeah.
So when I was working at Cardiomatics, my day to day would kind of be like get up at 8 a.m. and my computer's on. I would like start researching who I'm going to call for the day, like who are my key accounts for that day.
Yeah.
Probably by like 9, 10, I would start calling them because I just like to get the kind of calls out in the first thing in the morning. I just find it easier.
Mm-hmm.
And then typically I would then move on to like my emails, and I would schedule my meetings for the afternoon. And I would kind of be like researching potential prospects and suspects and going out and like really hounding and finding where these contacts are and their details. Where I'd say more in this role, typically my day to day is very different. Like I now would kind of log in, and then we have like a group call where we tell each other like what we're doing for the day. And then I have my own administrator, so she will like let me know like what meetings I have for the day, what calls I'm supposed to be setting up, like who I need to respond back to, etc. I kind of do my emails, and then typically I'm booked in meetings like for the whole day.
Nice. Sounds like they're keeping you busy in the new role.
Very.
Yeah. Great. Well, I've loved the conversation. Obviously, it's a sales and sports podcast, and great thing about having you on is that you're a Liverpool fan, right?
Yes, definitely.
Great. What do you think of the season up and coming? Obviously, being the sales and sports podcast, we'd love to just touch upon the mighty Reds. What do you make of the new signing as well, Soboslai?
I think the new signing will be good. I'm hoping it's going to be good. I don't think we've had the best season, if I'm being honest. I was quite disappointed. I think the way that we were the previous year and the years before, I was so excited for this season, and it's been a bit of a disappointment. I think we definitely need some new and fresh energy into the team, and I'm hoping he's going to be able to inject that in there.
Yeah, definitely.
What are you thinking? What did you think about that one?
Yeah. I think he looks physically like pretty strong, which you need, for the Premier League, and obviously being a young player, plenty of opportunity and potential. So yeah, fingers crossed. A few more signings as well. We'll be back fighting for hopefully the league.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But yeah, I love it. Thanks so much again, Trinity, for coming on. Love the conversation. Is there anything else, I guess, from your side you wanted to add before we wrap? If not, we'll circle back offline.
I think I would just say anyone that is thinking about the role, maybe umming and ahhing about it, just do it. I think you've got nothing to lose. I think there's absolutely nothing to lose in joining the Entr Tech cohort. Like, as much as it prepares you for the SDR role, I think it kind of prepares you for a lot of roles in life. Like I say, it really highlights the kind of transferable skills that you need for the majority of roles out there and helps you kind of really build those up. And I think most importantly, just really believe in yourself. Like, whether you think that you're qualified or you're not qualified, put yourself out there, because you never know what someone else is thinking, and you don't always know what you can offer to these companies.
100%. No, love it. And last one before actually we wrap is you're off to Greece, is it tomorrow?
Yeah, it's off to Cyprus tomorrow, which is great.
That's unreal. So just for those that are listening, it shows like the flexibility you can have, right? So your company, they're happy for you to work there from Cyprus tomorrow, right?
Yeah, so tomorrow, again, my role is remote, so I'm able to just fly over there. I think there's only like a 2-hour time difference, and just work the same as I would here. I've actually got a huge holiday booked for Tanzania in November. I think I'm gone for like 23 days. And again, they're completely fine with that. The time difference is only like 2 hours. So I can just take my laptop and just go. I think, again, that's a great thing about these remote roles. It's really like you pick up your laptop and you can go anywhere. You're not kind of stuck to the office. And again, I do go into the office. I do enjoy the kind of group environment, but it's very flexible. You're very in control of your own life, and that's something that I really do appreciate.
Love it. Awesome. With that, we'll wrap. You've heard it first, guys, from Trinity, the benefits of working in tech. So if you're looking to pursue a career look no further. And what space for people to find you? Is it LinkedIn?
Yes, everyone, please connect with me on LinkedIn, Trinity Russell. I'm more than happy to kind of answer any questions, give any advice, let you guys know about my kind of experience. It's important that we all help each other. And I think that's another thing that I loved from the Entr Tech cohort. Like, I still speak to a lot of the SDRs that were on that cohort now. We've got a little group chat that we kind of speak in to help each other. So it's like a real community. It's great.
Love it. Awesome. Thanks so much, Trinity. We'll circle back offline and yeah, enjoy Greece.
Thank you.
See ya. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.